Good morning, welcome back to Uncut with KJH. This is my first video in a while and I've been traveling, I've had family in town, it's been full on. My team on Friday before we broke for the weekend said, we think that you should recreate some of your oldest makeup looks. And so they went through the archives and they found a few looks and this one stood out to me, so I'm going to show it to you. And this is what we're going to recreate today. But first I'm going to break down this look. She didn't know what blush was, this girl. She didn't like blush. She only liked to be pale and interesting. The dots under my eyes I probably wouldn't do now. My eyebrows are something, and my phone needs a clean. Those eyebrows are, they've evolved, to say the least. Anywho, there's a lot with this that I wouldn't do anymore. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that we change in our makeup, and I'm going to show you what I would do today. I might pick my phone up and down a few times throughout this to sort of check in and to sort of see where we are. But I'm going to start with a little bit of highlighter as like a primer. So I'm going to do a tiny bit of my Hyper Shine highlight from KJH brand in the shade Copper. I always have a little spatula on my table to scoop out product, and I'm just going to scoop out a little bit. So this should last you a very, very long time. There's a tiny brush fiber in there, but anyway, that's the shade Copper. I think the Copper is kind of the best shade for the majority of complexions, just because it sort of suits everybody. And where's my brush? And basically it sort of just enhances everyone's skin tone without being too specific of a color. Like the pink is a pink, the gold is a gold, the bronze is a bronze with like a little bit of a reddy undertone. The Copper is just a very gorgeous, neutrally skin enhancing, beautiful shade that sort of almost minimizes redness if you have it. I mean, it enhances sort of golden tones in the skin as well. So I'm just going to use what's on the back of my brush there and then just start applying that on. I'm using this truly as like my priming step as well as my highlighter step underneath my makeup. The more of this serum product that you use, the more it will basically liquefy this and turn it into a cream. I like to sort of mess with the ratio, and if I ever apply it and be like, oh, I want more serum, I can totally apply more serum to the back of my hand or to my brush, mix it in and apply more. I think what is different about my makeup style back then, which was probably in gosh, how old is that photo? I feel like that photo that I just showed you is probably from like 2018 or maybe even earlier. I think that I just am a little bit less heavy-handed with product and with color and with sort of how I apply, and I'm a little bit more gradual to how I apply product, as opposed to just sort of slapping it on and going. So this is going to look a little shiny until I put concealer on, so bear with me. Just going to do a little tiny bit on the lip, but because we're doing a red lip, I will not do too much. And then a little bit up here just for shading purposes, because it is a slightly darker shade than my complexion, so I can sort of make the most of that and give me a bit more color than I had in that photo. And then I'm going to do my eyebrows. I always do my makeup with a towel on my table. Helps you get extra product that you didn't use off of your hands in the middle, so you don't have to keep getting up and washing your hands until you wash your hands at the end. So one of my favorite brow products at the moment is the Maybelline Builder Brow. I'm using the shade Dark Brown, and I am using just the pen side right now because I already put brow gel in. This does have a little handy brow gel at one side though. And the difference with now and then is my eyebrows were much cooler back then, and there was much more product on the skin that was visible. Now I feel like I'm a little bit more feather light when I go in, and I just sort of go between the hairs that I already have, and I build out the framework in a different kind of way. The size and the shape hasn't changed so much, but I sort of just, you know, go in and fluff out next to all of those existing hairs, if not make them a bit bigger than what I used to make them, so that they look a little bit more wild. And then I like just elongate the tail a little bit, and that's kind of all I do, because I like to see the hair-like strokes. I like to see the hair-like strokes next to my own hair-like texture that I have, because it is hair. Why did I just say that? All right, so then I'm gonna do this. So you see, I only do a little bit in there, and even when I do, I sort of am quite delicate with it. So today is the 8th of April. April, and we have a solar eclipse, and it's going to be probably very busy on the roofs of New York City and on the promenades, and my team will be here, so we're going to go upstairs to the roof and check it out. Okay, so don't fight to get them to look identical. Like, yeah, sure, some people might want that, and if you do, then they're your own demons to battle, but I'm okay with them being sisters, not twins. And sometimes if I ever go a little bit heavy-handed, I sort of just take a little spoolie to my eyebrow and sort of just brush through slightly. I've already done my brow gel, so it's hard to get through them now. But one thing that I did yesterday, and I actually really liked it, which made them softer, which actually is a bit of a nod to how I used to do my eyebrows, was I used an eyeshadow. This colour is better. It's like a neutral eyeshadow, and I just went in there, just did a little tiny bit of powder at the base to get a more fluffy underneath, and it makes those hair-like strokes not look as stark. So if you ever do the hair-like strokes and you're like, oh, that looks really high contrast and I can see the lines, then go in with a little bit of eyeshadow. I am going to do some concealer. I'm going to use the Say concealer in number 3. I really like this. I think it's a really nice concealer. It's an all-over concealer, which means that it's designed to kind of replace a foundation. And so I'm just going to sort of use it as such. I do my foundation in 2 ways. I either my foundation or concealer. I do my foundation and concealer in 2 ways. I either do what I just did and sort of apply it to little parts of the face, and then I take a brush and blend it in. I take a brush and blend it in to those areas, or I put it in the brush on the back of my hand, kind of like I did with my first step. That's a technique that I call priming the brush, which helps you basically get like a really seamless finish, and it helps you blend in quicker, and it makes your makeup look more natural. Because it doesn't have time to sort of set on the face and get heavier. Like, as soon as you put product on the face, it sort of sets and starts to get heavier because it's melting in with the skin most of the time. Not always, because every product is different, but I find that if I put it into my brush first, it gives me a different kind of look. I'm gonna be delicate and careful here because I've got eyebrow hairs to be aware of. I don't want to get foundation in my hairs of my eyebrows, so I'm being quite precise. And then I'm going to do actually a little bit more shading of my face, because I think that's what's different about my makeup from now to then, is I do a little bit more dimension in my face, and I add a little bit more contours than I used to. I used to just be like concealer everywhere and highlighter, and then an eye and a lip that was interesting. Now it's like a little bit more dimensional. All right, so a little touch of concealer. But I like this amount. This amount feels for me like the right level. I also feel like this makeup look makes me look older. I think it's like the sort of the harshness of it. So we'll see if I feel like I look younger after this one. All right, I am just going to squeeze my eyelashes for a bit of a lift before I move on. This is the Shiseido eyelash curler. For the best curl, you should curl at the root and then lift up and curl as you go. You will get a curl versus a bend. Like if you do this and just squeeze once at the root, you're getting a very visible bend when people look at you from the side. But up to you how much sort of effort you put into it, really. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of my Simi Haze contouring cream, bronzing cream. I'm going to use a smaller brush today. I'm going to use the Say Beauty brush. I love this. It's a warmer shade than what I typically would need per the rules. I just prefer a slightly warmer shade because I feel like then it suits me in the summer and I can just wear a little bit less of it in the winter, as opposed to going for my true, more cool tone shade, which is the lighter one, and me only being able to really use it in the winter. Therefore, I like to sort of get my shade of bronzer that works all year round. All right, and I'm just going to do a little bit on the top of the cheeks there. So you might wonder how this differs from the first product that I applied, my highlighter product. This is, it's a more warm shade. The other one is more cool. This is creating more of a bronze. The other one is creating more of a glow. So those are the differences. And I do like to just contour a little bit with this, but not too much, because again, it's not a cool tone shade. All right. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of my base. So I didn't typically used to use Endless Cacao. Now I use Endless Cacao as like a lip contour, which is a pencil from Makeup Forever. It's a great little product. I'm just using that to sort of shape up the lip, the bottom and the top. You can use a little or a lot, whatever you want, but we are going to do a red, so I'm not going to use too much. I just want it to create a blurry lip line so that I have a sort of fuller looking pout without the use of injectables. I've never had lip filler. I have had Botox in my forehead once and twice. Shirini just did it, and she had to get the laughing gas out both times because I was a nervous wreck, because I'm just nervous about things like that. But I haven't had anything done for about 2 years, hence free movement of my face. So regarding brushes, the brush size should fit the area that you're trying to blend. That is the simplest thing. Like, this is like a decent size. It's small enough to get around and inside of my eye, but it's also big enough to blend large areas in a matter of seconds. So just take out the guesswork and take out the complex, and literally just do, like, just pick a brush that suits the size of the face of what you're working. I'm going to use a Rare Beauty blush. This is the shade Encourage. I haven't used these before. I picked them up at Sephora the other day, and I'm just going to do a little dot of this shade. Apparently that's too much, so we will see. Okay, that's fine. These, I've been told, are a bit more like a bit like Cloud Paint from Glossier, but a little bit more smooth in how they blend. And I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Cloud Paint isn't necessarily one of my favorite products from Glossier. I like it, I use it, but I like it with a brush, and I think it's you've got to be quite gentle with it because it can break apart and get sort of patchy easily, but that might not happen for everyone. So but I love so much from Glossier. I love Glossier complexion a lot. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit murky in the center of the face, so just to create contrast and balance from that, I'm just gonna put a little bit more concealer just here, and I'm going to use my concealer brush again. So bringing this concealer brush back in with that extra bit of concealer. I did go over my big beauty mark there, which I'll go back in with a freckle pen in a little bit, but I always want to keep my blush away from my sort of sides of my nose. Can have a little bit of blush on the top of my nose, but not too much at the sides, because then it starts to become like, well, did you even do a concealer, you know? Or are you even concealed? Okay. So before I go in with eyes or lips, I am going to powder, because I feel good with my level of complexion. I'm going to use a very expensive face powder because I cracked it open the other day and I realized how much I liked it. This is the Gucci Westman powder. I'm going to use it with a little brush that isn't out yet from Spectrum and Me. Should be out in the next few months. So first, before I powder my lids, I check for creasing and I just erase the crease before I powder it, and then I'm going to powder it quite well. Same on the other side. And then I'm going to tap under the eye. So this powder is a pink powder from Gucci Westman, and it's called Pink Bubble. And it definitely is very mattifying if you use the right amount. And it's also quite soft at the same time. So I think more mature skin types would love this because it doesn't leave you flat. But you do sort of have to keep going back to the pan. And I did have to scrape the pan with a spoolie to get off that layer of, you know, stuff. That like layer that comes from oils on the face. Okay. So I'm going to put that back for now, and then I'm going to just get into eyes. So I'm honestly just going to keep it really simple and do a more modern version of this eye. I just want to give you a memory jog. We're already into 14 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep it a bit quicker. But this felt quite harsh and hard and like, you know, very orangey at the outsides, which I would still do. Would I wear that kind of eye now with that kind of lip? I don't know. So to keep it really soft and nice, I'm just going to go straight in with a pencil brush and this shade that I use in my eyebrows. I'm just going to go into the upper lash line there. Keep it really simple. Up there like that. Up there like this. Into those sort of areas. If you've got any kind of hooded eye, do your eye open a little bit, like so it looks straight into a mirror, and get into that, get above and into that fold there, because when you open your eye, you'll find that a lot of that color gets swallowed and gets sort of invisible from the fold. And then you'll sort of blink and you'll see maybe it's a bit messy, and then you'll just take a big brush and blend it in. All right, so then I'm going to do that same color Same brush under my lash line for that sort of soft smoke under there. I love these palettes. This is Joe Baker Makeup, and it's called Desert Days or Desert Road Trip Palm Palette. They're very, very good, these palettes. They're just so handy and like literal palm palettes. Perfect for your kit, perfect if you travel a lot. Okay, I love this so far. I'm going to take a little bit of the black colour, which isn't a jet black, it's more of like a smoky grey, and I'm going to put that in the upper, just there, just to add heaviness. I want a little bit heavier of a top than a bottom most of the time. I want my upper lash line to be darker than my lower lash line, unless I'm doing something very specific. Okay, blending that in. And then what I love to do is take a taupey shade and that same first shade that I applied, and I like to go into here under the brow because I think it looks quite sort of striking and beautiful because it connects to the nose and makes sort of everything look a little bit more sculpted. And even if you're feeling in a pinch and you want just to contour the lip a little bit more, you can use it around the mouth. You see? And we're going to go over this with red lipstick in a minute anyway, but just a little bit of smokiness. Be fluid with your brushes. Don't just like use them in one part of the eye. See the way I'm taking it, this color a little bit around the entire perimeter of the eye, which makes everything look a little bit more finished. All right, for mascara, I'm going to do... I want to be quite specific with my lashes here, and I don't want them to be too dark, too heavy, and too thick. So I'm going to go with Lisa Eldridge's new one, the Kitten Lash, because it's like a really nice mascara if you don't want too thick and too heavy of a lash. It's like perfectly polished mascara. I did do the bottom lashes, so I will do the same. It's a very, very nice mascara. If you just love a pretty lash like this, I think you can probably get more out of it as it dries, but I'm finding that it's a delicate mascara. If you have any YouTube requests at all, please drop them in the comments below. My team and I do check them and would love to know sort of what you want to see as far as content here on this channel. Alright, so just a little bit under there. Okay, I want to just go through that tail end there to just take the excess away. Perfect. Okay, and now for the lip, before I get in and refine. I like to get most of the colors on and then get in and refine. And when I say get most of the colors on, I like to just do a little and then go in and add more. So this is Beso from Stila. It's one of my favorite red lipsticks. I could have been wearing this there, but I think this was a Power Matte from NARS. So I'm just taking a smudgy brush. This is the number 13 KJH Spectrum. And I'm going to use it first in the center of the lip where the lip opens. Okay, so just really sort of getting it on. And then bringing it up towards the Cupid's bow. And then I'm always sort of continuously, when I'm doing a lip like this on myself these days, I'm always kind of getting I want the pout to be like central to the lip. I don't want the lip to be too wide, so I don't emphasize the sides too much. So that's my first layer. And honestly, like, depending on what you're doing, depending on who you are, you could finish that blend and leave it like that, but I'm going to apply another layer. The reason why I did that with a brush first is because I find that if I do it with a brush first, or if I at least feel like if I take off all of the excess product on the back of my wand of my doe foot, I get more control out of the doe foot, because it's not just like a big wedge of product. Because sometimes too much product on the brush can create messy application. now this tool becomes like a shaper slash applier. And then if you just use just what's left in there to always create a stain out of your liquid lipstick. It's going to be easier to apply and it's going to last so much longer. You know the way I often say, like, use what's in the brush? So that using the spoolie in this way is sort of the same thing. The applicator. Using the applicator in that same way. Okay, and then what I would do different to this lip versus in the old school version of this lip is, I'm just going to show it to you one more time. This lip line is very hard and defined. I want my lip line now to be softer and more blurry and a bit more diffused. So I would typically either go in with like a Q-tip or a little small smudgy brush, like a brush that allows for me to buff and blur the edges, which something like this, like a little smudgy definer, just at the edge there. Creates like a haze. Which kind of looks super beautiful and like smudgy, kind of dreamy. I'm just going in more with this. So that's how the lip would differ. And then honestly, it would differ in one more way. It's still got that little bit of like a rock and roll grungy feel, but it's softer. It would differ in one more way, which would be even more blush. Because I'm now in my blush era. I'm going to use Independence from Nabla, and I'm going to use that same little brush. And I'm just going to bring a little bit more color to my face with this brush here. Specifically on the cheeks. I love these. They're an Italian made powder. They are pearly and they are gorgeous. Would I do the little dots under my eyes in 2024? Probably no. It's just not so much my style anymore, but it was fun to sort of play with colour in different ways back then. But I think that you have to try things to know if you like things. And I think I definitely experimented a lot in the sort of era between 2016 and 2024. Again, my makeup for me is always a little dance about applying a little bit more and going back in with a touch. This is also really nice on the eyelids, by the way. This is the shade Independence. And then actually I do think I need a touch more powder, so I'm going to go back in and I'm actually just going to do a different one because I don't actually think it gave me the matte-ness that I want in the T-zone. So I'm just using this brush, which I think I used for my bronzer, but I forgot. So we'll see. This is Semi Haze. I'm going to use it between the brows, a little bit on the forehead, a little bit into the hairline, under the eye slightly, and this is basically it. I think this is a look that I would wear to like any kind of special red carpet event. I would wear it to, honestly, like brunch with my girlfriends. I would wear it to a wedding if I was doing a red lip for a wedding. And that's it. That's the end of this look. Let me pull up my side by side. This was a 25-minute video. I hope that you had fun hanging out with me for 25 minutes, but here's where it was. And this is now what I would do. My jawline is a little bit more snatched in this photo 5 years ago, or 6, 7 years ago. I don't even know how long ago this was. But I think this is a bit more modern and a bit more fresh. Anyway, hope that was helpful and you learned something new. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe.